great to have you on our podcast. I guess today we'll dive into the most interesting plays in robotics right now. It's your company, Open Droids. I guess while most of the industries is chasing $1 billion humanoids and flashy demos, Open Droids is actually taking a very different approach. You guys are building practical, open source, and AI powered robots that can do real work. Like cleaning, house chores, and everything that needs to be done, even hospitality. So I guess my first question would be, what made you start Open Droids? What was that aha moment for you guys?
Well, there was the thesis to start Open Droids was uh, there was going to be a predicted ChatGPT moment for robotics as well, and the bottleneck, if that ChatGPT moment comes and where software is solved, then hardware is going to be a really big bottleneck. So that's how the CEO got to talking and decided the robotics field is going to be revolutionized with the up and coming AI and software solutions. So uh, from there, it started to how we're going to scale the hardware in real time. So if in case there's going to be like 2,000 or 3,000 robots which are required, how do we scale them? Is the supply chain currently ready for those kind of workflows and those kind of volumes? So from there, we started Open Droids, and yeah.
Okay, no, it's a great answer, man. I think you answered a lot of other follow-up questions as well. So, but in reality, why focus on real-world tasks instead of like humanoid robots? What made you guys choose that specific target?
Humanoid robots have specific form factor which is directly related to humans, which includes legs. And legs, as you can see, is one of the most difficult parts you can program because uh, robots were not built for legs at all. And right now, humanoids are really good, but it's still not there. And it still struggles with a lot of simple, very simple tasks to do. Pick from one place and place it some other place. Humanoid robots really struggle, and we did not want to go through a 5 year research journey on how to make legs work. So we took a much simpler route and made our robots into wheeled bimanual robots. So arms are really important, but legs are not really important for if the robot is working on flat surfaces at all time.
Okay, that's yeah, it's a great approach because like you nail it on the head because like Boston Dynamics been doing it for 16 years, backflips and running around. Now I've seen that lately. There was a Beijing marathon for humanoid robots. I think you've seen it online where robots were
Oh
racing
yeah,
humans. I was like, what is the practical implementation of that? Are we gonna go into like a humanoid Olympics? I mean, we already have great Olympics, so we don't really need that. Like, we need like company like yours and like actual, implementation, like in our real world, lives. And every day's chores. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
The marathon was really stupid, but only thing which is good is the manufacturing companies can actually show off how good their actuators is and
yeah.
how precise they are in long running tasks. And I think that's the only upside for all of this, and only hardware manufacturers benefit from these. It's not for software at all, and reinforcement learning is costing us as well. But yeah.
That's absolutely true. I guess my follow-up question would be, what did you guys see in the market that others missed, other companies? Why do you think you'll be able to scale much faster?
Um, Well, if you're comparing it to humanoid companies, then we fast track to a place where we can deploy much quicker than them by staggering amounts. We can deploy much quicker, much cheaper, almost half the cost, and the technology which is required for most of uh, repeatable tasks is already there. So you do not have to devise a whole new AI to actually make it. Its AI is going to be the helper for the all underlying current robotics, which are highly deployed already uh, in warehouses, in manufacturing companies. So we found that gap as the thing where we can fill first, and then later when the world actually evolves with robots, where robots are working with us, then it's going to be a different scene altogether. So we started off with how to get robots out there first, and right now that's what we're doing.
Okay, I think this is a very smart strategic move you guys are thinking, like 5, 10, even 20 years, I guess, down the road, because
Mhm.
even some people don't realize it now, but you know better than anyone being right there and stuff and seeing all these robotic companies and AI companies and humanoid companies are like popping out like left, right, and center. We know how much money is being invested in that as well. So we're gonna see a lot of robots, I mean, everywhere, I think. So you're on the right track. So I guess saying that, let's switch gears a little bit. Like I think a lot of companies, and you met them as well, talk about potential, right? Oh, we're gonna be the Uber of the worlds for robots. So we're gonna be, whatever the Microsoft. We're gonna take over all the software, which is, I mean, we'll see if it's an open source. I guess might be the case, but other than that, it might be a bit tricky because I mean, well. A lot of AIs right now is just LLMs, it's people don't realize that it's not an actual AGI. So in terms of execution, when it comes down to that, what is like a real world deployment means for you for the Open Droids?
Yeah. So first use case which we actually tackled was a hospitality sector where the robot actually does a semi-nurse kind of functionality inside rehabs and hospitals. So it's quite simple, but no one has really solved. So it's a uh, what do you call uh, telepresence robot, which can
Mhm.
actually open doors and go and take vitals of patients over and over again. It sounds really simple, but it's an incredibly difficult task to execute, and that's where we found a partner who actually would like such a system be deployed in their facility. So we started building towards that, and currently we're going to be deploying in that as well. Uh, yeah, so mainly is like there are very small niches and
Mhm.
very huge margins which can be gained for both the consumer and the company itself. So, presenting a win-win situation for both is the goal which we're going for, and that's how the company is built upon that. Uh, Even while being safe and being open, that we're not going to come up someday and say, hey, I'm going to control all your robots. That should not be the case. The client has to feel really, really safe, and that's why we're keeping all the software open. And then we build our software on top, curated for them, so they can actually, deploy. It can work all the time. So.
Okay, now that's a great use case. I think like robot nurses are being implemented into healthcare. I mean, like we all know, there's a shortage of healthcare workers across the country. So yeah, if you
Mhm.
guys can tackle that, definitely. And I think I've already seen some prototypes, even like 6 years ago. Those small robots been like driving around, like I can like more. I think for the kids' hospitals where kids can interact, there has like a small display, and they can tell them about all the procedures and what's not, more like a funny manner. So that I think it was 5 years ago, maybe even more, 6 years ago, and we've come like a long way. Now you're saying robots can actually go there, open doors, pick up like vitals and everything. That's great. And you guys are probably going to be scaling more into this, right? You're going to be getting more into healthcare, or you think it's going to be more on the retail side as well?
We don't want to stop anywhere, so we're gonna get more into healthcare. We're gonna start hitting up multiple verticals as soon as we get a chance to do it. So, looking for because a robot form factor is pretty common, and it's just how these algorithms are written, how the AI has to perform. It cannot generalize across every single task, but it can generalize across 70% of the tasks. So with the current form factor, what we're trying to deploy to even hotels and hospitality and even retail. So those are the three verticals we're looking for, and we're going to keep expanding more.
Okay. And I think what my follow-up question would be, how do you decide which use cases to go after?
Uh, Use cases are decided with what's the current highest paid workers are, where the highest volume is, and what the client wants to reduce in terms of their burn. So,
Of course.
how we can present a solution which can reduce their costs of operation by half or 70%, then they're going to be happy. And that's what even they look for. So if you can cut down the workflow of an
Yeah.
employee by half, then that's the
Well,
win for them.
hopefully we're not cutting down the employee 100% because there's been a lot of grades nowadays, the jobs
Yeah,
are
I think we are far from
robots.
100%.
Yeah.
uh, as robots still have to be maintained, looked after. If there is some errors, then someone has to take care of those. So there's still a while for 100%, but we're going towards, the future is definitely going towards, maybe not in 10 years, but maybe 20 years. But then the whole generational shift would
Oh yeah,
actually have happened, and there would not be simple jobs. People would be always looking for higher and much higher jobs.
exactly. Well, I'm glad you said that because everybody now is afraid the robots are going to take our jobs. And then you see those fail videos of delivery robots on the sidewalks being stuck everywhere, right? They can't
Mhm.
even get your pancakes delivered. So I was like, guys, we're far away from that. Like they have to help us. They have to make our life more efficient and easier. That, like you said, and then as human beings, we evolve to actually control that, to control the AI, to control the robots itself. So yeah, of course, it means for the human beings we have to study, we have to learn and adopt. That's the different. That's what people don't want to do.
Yeah, it's a really common concern. Like I always tell them, like there was a big uh, updates for humanity now and then, and people did not lose jobs. People always gained jobs. Like for example, when the calculator was invented,
Yeah,
mathematicians were the top of the world, lost all their jobs. When computers were invented, people thought everything is gonna take over and software is gonna be the best thing, and no one will have jobs. But reality is it created more jobs than it can
yeah,
ever, no one imagined that to be. And we have opened up our world to something different right now, and
of
you would not be calling your girlfriend or
course.
wife somewhere from around the world. So yeah, everything's gonna go for the good. That's what we hope to, and we want to make sure that we are on the right path to, you know bringing humanity forward.
That is true, man. I'm glad you said that. And my next question would be like, are you optimizing for speed of deployment or for more like a technical perfection? Because specifically the mundane tasks that your robots are performing, it's a bit different, right? So what do you think about that?
uh it's kind of a combination, as speed of deployment is very important for uh, getting the robots out there. And as we have more robots in the field, we will gain more real world data with the errors accomplished by the robot. So uh, we start with speed and optimize it for technical perfection later on with continual improvements, and that's how we kind of keep our workflow.
Okay. Let's talk about AI part of that because the biggest shift in robotics is not just hardware, right? Like we discussed, it's an actual brains, it's the AI that powers that. So we're moving from program machines to the system that can, adapt, make decisions, can perceive. So how important is AI in your system versus the hardware?
Um, Hardware is very important, but AI is the heart and soul, and it's essentially what brings the hardware to life. So, with just not simplifying to just keep spend $50,000 for one robot to do one simple task, we kind of maybe generalize it to around 4 to 5 tasks right now, and it's going to keep expanding more. But the last 5 years have given us the leeway to actually expand this even much further with the AI. So AI has definitely helped on reducing the price per task completed per robot, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, of course. And then later on, let's say right now the robot can do 5 tasks. Would you be able to use the same hardware, the same robot to add additional tasks for it to use? Or it has to be like
Yeah,
changed in some way?
absolutely. So that's what we're going towards, a modular architecture in terms of software, where uh, we did not have to change that much, and it should be able to generalize across multiple various different tasks. But as we have seen from all the VLA companies, from all the brain building companies, that it's not that easy of a task to generalize to every single thing. So Our focus is to generalize for some tasks and not every single one of them, so that we sell the robots first. And when the technology is actually there, then we will have the potential and the capital to scale, and will be in a position where people actually trust us, and that's how we're going to win the market.
Okay. And how autonomous are your systems today? Like, do they have to be overseen by a bunch of engineers, developers, or they're pretty much autonomous as we speak?
No, it's completely autonomous. There is a monitoring layer on back and a people standby. So, uh, if something goes wrong, then someone should actually take over, send it back, and reset it. Uh, but we're building towards complete autonomy.
Okay, that's amazing. And when you're saying they have to reset it, like, where do they still struggle? At what tasks?
Um, It's just errors, which are like really, really edge cases you would have never imagined. So suppose we have built it for uh, one facility, and it's like a completely flat ground and it robot works really well. Same thing if we put it to a different facility, but the floor is not as good and it has a lot of bumps. So what
Okay.
happens is over time, those vibrations induced will cause a hardware failure of some kind. Either it may be a screw coming down, or the wheel failing, or the motor being, uh, overshot, or losing encoder values. So there's a lot of error induced in the real world, which cannot be like accounted for in simulation alone, and the real world data is what that makes the difference in the end. Uh, but yeah, some things which you cannot even imagine may be induced, and for that reasons you have to always keep the continual improvement. Uh, yeah, that's what we're going for.
Okay. No, that's great. And in terms of the actual things that the robot can do, I know the computer vision it's a big part. So, what role does the computer vision play in your robots?
It is the main thing. Like everything is on the vision
Yeah,
aspect, and uh, cameras are without cameras. If a camera fails, then it essentially loses every single perception of where it is. So the main camera, which essentially is like perception stack and computer vision, is what got us to where, even like to understand where the current robot is, to where the arm is, and how to actually do things. Without that, it would just, I mean, it
yeah,
would
of
not
course.
work
Yeah,
at
if
all.
there's no vision, you don't know
Unfortunately,
what you're doing,
there's
right?
no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess my follow-up question, like, how many cameras do the robots have right now? Is it like multiple cameras from different parts of the robot, or is it just like one main vision?
I mean, different robots have different architectures. So we have for our biggest one, which is a bimanual mobile manipulator R2D3, it has one single head camera for vision and two other wrist cameras, so for precise manipulation, and one for the base as well, where it actually navigates. So it uses, it can see everything on the ground, and it can see if someone's actually walking towards you. So it's helpful for obstacle avoidance and understanding that there's no stairs. There is stairs there. You should not fall down. So stuff like that.
Of course, yeah. No, that's good. It's a part of a learning curve, I guess. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the positioning of the company because right now the robotic space is getting like super crowded, and the way you build your system matters just as much as you build your company. So, what makes your company Open Droids fundamentally different from all the other robotic companies out there?
Yeah, most of the people are focusing core on like people who are raising billions and billions are essentially focusing on building the brain for completely generalizable robots. So we are not going for uh, creating every single thing by ourselves. We maintain a systems integration and collaborative nature where we actually partner up with different manufacturers. We partner up with different brain building companies, and we our goal is not to be like a competitor for these companies, but as a bridge to the clients. So we essentially build the software which can integrate both hardware and software and give the end-to-end solution for the clients. So, as a solutions integration and custom solutions provider, that's where we stand, and that's how I would say that it's a unique proposition, and very less companies are doing this.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a great approach. And I know you guys are open source, right? So, following up on your previous answer, why taking an open source approach instead of building a closed system?
It's mainly for the clients, and it's how they're gonna get more trust. And if, if these robots are deployed like thousands and thousands, and then who are they gonna trust more? A closed system which can actually, you know, be taken control of and do uh, unspeakable things to you, which I did not want to mention, but it's a scary world out there, and
Yeah.
robots have a lot of tools which they have access to. Like if they're in your homes, they have access to all the knives, they have access to every single tool which can be
It's
available,
like
and
it sounds like
they
a
can
start of
out
a
manipulate you.
horror movie.
Yes, yes, yes. So exactly. So
It's
how can we give them
yeah,
complete control? Is being
of
open.
course,
Like
yeah,
they can actually
yeah.
go in and change their system. They can change their code if we want. We can help them,
Oh,
and uh, we kind of appreciate how that we're not going to be taking over their system. It's for them, and
of
the
course,
robots are
yeah,
for them.
of course. You don't want it to become a next episode of the Black Mirror, right?
It's,
I
yeah, I mean,
mean, it's like
so
I have a
I hope
love,
not.
myself, I have a love and hate relationship with that TV show, but it's so like accurate to be honest. There's been like what filmed like how many years ago? Like it's so slowly but surely coming to life. It's so
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
it's
I mean,
introducing
I tell people like, they have to like rewatch the show itself because it's crazy what they have shown to us like 5 or whatever 6 years ago, right? Yeah.
yeah, I
Let's
mean, n- not just Black Mirror. I feel like even simple kids shows which are made for robots would actually make sense more now if you go and
yeah.
rewatch those. I can say that if you go back and watch the Big Hero 6, where Baymax is the like
Yeah.
healthcare
Yeah.
provider, and also if you rewatch that right now, you will have a complete different perspective on like what
Oh
they're
yeah.
doing.
Because
So it's
before it
interesting
was
on
a
how
sci-fi. It
yeah,
was a sci-fi, now it's reality. So it's like, oh, it's actually happening, right?
yeah, great
Listen,
time to be alive in.
yeah, of course, I guess, yeah. Let's hope it's not open source all the way. So otherwise, it would be hard to be alive with unless the machines are going to be taken over, right? With AGI in place.
No. So guardrails can be introduced with being open source. It's not like it
Yeah, of
cannot be because let's see. You can see Linux was open source, and most systems run on Linux, and still
course,
Red
yeah,
Hat
of
made it
course, yeah.
something for
They've been
enterprise,
managed.
and
Yeah,
it's still secure except for that one bug. But yeah.
yeah. So I guess my question would be: do you see robotics becoming like an open ecosystem, just like you mentioned, like software?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. So, I mean, at the end of the day, robotics doesn't just scale on innovation, right, alone. So we have to have economies of scales, right? So it doesn't create value, it doesn't get deployed. So my question would be around business model. How do your robots generate ROI for the businesses?
Um, like I suggested before, like how can clients actually reduce their burn on unnecessary tasks, which can be automated by current technology, is what clients actually are always looking for. Examples, we have the simple and really simple towel folding use case, and Dyna built a really big robotics company just around one single use case, and you see that how much capital was wasted and just for laundry folding, and how much economy was actually not used to the betterment of the world, but just to just fold cows. So, just from that perspective, I feel like there's a lot of economy being wasted right now, and those money are going to be put to robots, and that's how our clients see it. That's how we see it, and it's going to start towards how we can help people and not make them do mundane tasks, and that's how it's going to continue for a while, at least.
And what would you say are the top industries right now that are adopting your technology?
Top industries. Right now, it's we're starting off with we're really early, but we're starting off with healthcare and hospitality right now.
Okay. And what is your like typical deployment look like? Once you onboarded the client, like what are the next steps you guys are you uh, teaching them how to use the robots, you open source all the software and stuff?
Well, depends on the client. So current clients, what we have is like we give them the complete end-to-end solution. Like, so we visit their facility, we walk their floors, and determine like what can be automated, what can we use in terms of current available technology. Even though if we've not developed it, how can we help the client like, upgrade their production line, upgrade their automation stuff, and how they can gain value with significantly small investment in terms of long-term run. And we have we calculate the ROI based on it, present a unique proposition for the client based on their specific warehouse, because each warehouse is different, and uh, we have to retrain a little models and fine tune it based on their customer specific data to be more accurate and perfect. So, uh, from that perspective, we tend to go towards like giving the end-to-end solution for them. And yeah, that's how we
Yeah.
currently operate. And yeah.
And how long would you say your customers usually see value? I mean, like it takes like 6 months, 3 months in terms of like cutting costs, all the OpEx.
It really depends on how much workflow that need to be automated. So we have an ROI calculator right on our website where they can
Hmm.
just put in
Okay.
how much hours these people are actually using and how much hours which what are the robots which can actually do these jobs. Like if it's a simple warehouse client, then uh, how much boxes are lifted to put to where, how much time is actually wasted and stuff like that. Once you put those numbers in, and you can get your projections right around how we can help you to
Okay.
save your money.
I understand. That's great. So let me ask you an interesting question. Like, what is the biggest, I guess, bottleneck to scaling robotics today? Because everybody talks about robotics. There's so many companies. There's so much capital being, invested in it. But there's still, like a real, I guess, world deployment is still a bottleneck, right? What do you think is the biggest one?
Um, Human adaptation is, I feel that
Yeah.
it's a very difficult task to deal with, because not everyone feel the same way about robots. You can see people just taking videos on the street
Yeah.
when the delivery robots walk by, and some people just shouting at them, it's like, you took my job and stuff like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's hard for humans to comprehend that what we are going towards is a good future, and some people do not believe that. Some people believe that we humans have to do the menial jobs, and uh, some things like those things has to be it takes some time for people to actually see that uh, uh, this is how the world is going to be, this is how humans improve, this is how the world is going to be uplifted. But yeah, it just takes some time, especially for the older generation. It's quite unique, as a higher percentage of them do not accept
Yeah.
robots. And when you're deploying in old age homes or something like that, where there's not a lot of help available, but people do need help, the adaptation is still very difficult. And that's how I feel that it's the most difficult hurdle to pass. But once we pass it, I think it's going to be nice.
Oh, you're right. Like the human behavior, it's always the hardest one to pass, That's
Yeah.
definitely number one.
It,
So let's
yeah.
say you're right, we passed that bottleneck and we're moving forward, full speed ahead. What do you think the world will look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, okay. So there are a lot of futures which people predict that going towards good side and the bad sides, but uh, just when I take from how I envision it and uh, not including all the AI super intelligence kind of stuff. So just from a robot's perspective, like how robots are going to be helping is that uh, all the tasks and chores are all determined to be done by robots, and people will have more time to not be stuck in a job, and uh, they can actually explore other creative sides, which I feel is nice. I can get back to music any day.
Exactly. Universal income is coming, right? That's what they say.
Universal income is coming. There's there are people expecting like there's gonna be a human zoo where humans are like given the best life they want, and whatever they want they can have it. So people are calling it human zoo, but I'm calling it utopia. But that's the thing.
Exactly. That would be interesting to see. So I guess my last question to you would be, since you've been in the industry for a long time, like what is the one thing that people still don't understand about robotics, right? Like you said, people are afraid they're gonna take their jobs or they're screaming at the robots or that human behavior. But what is the biggest, I guess, misconception about robotics?
Misconception. Hmm.
I
Well,
guess they're here to help, right? They're not here to
they're
hurt
here
us.
to help for sure. Like no one are building with all the companies, with all the money in the world, with billions and billions of dollars spent in uh there are no people like marketing that this is gonna be a killing machine, or this is gonna be a goes around takes over uh, the streets to so like control people, and that's how people actually fear the most. Like uh, they can people who actually control the robots can actually control the
Control the
people
world,
as well,
right? Yeah.
control the world.
So, yeah,
And that's a very valid concern, however, but I do not see it being even slightly based that way. People want to solve really useful tasks. People want to solve how to get food to your place as soon as possible so that you cannot go hungry. And I say, look at those good people who are actually working towards making your lives better rather than focusing on the negatives of the world.
of course. So let's hope the Skynet is not gonna happen, and we're gonna have a human utopia with the
Yeah,
universal income.
yeah.
You
That's
know.
what we said. We are Skillnet, not Skynet. So it's
Okay,
actually us. Skillnet is
I
better than
got you, man.
Skynet.
That's true. Well, listen, Sam. Thank you for this great conversation. It was great to have you on our podcast, and we'll follow closely with Open Droids and what you guys have to bring to the world. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.